Remember the old-school office boss? The classic Kkondae. They ruled by shouting, expected absolute loyalty, and made sure everyone knew exactly who was in charge. Today, you are much more likely to encounter their modern replacement, a 45-year-old manager rolling into the office wearing Supreme streetwear, carrying the newest iPhone, and insisting that everyone on the team is just friends. Back in 2015, trend analysts actually coined a compliment for this exact type of person, the young 40. It was meant to celebrate people born in the 1970s who refused to turn into stiff, authoritarian managers. But fast forward to today, and that exact same compliment has mutated into a brutal insult. This chart shows the current public awareness of the term young 40, and the age split is almost comedic. Nearly everyone in their 20s knows exactly what this means, while barely a quarter of people over 70 have even heard of it. The mutation of this word tracks a deep, uncomfortable shift in modern workplace power dynamics. When you ask the younger 20-30 generation why they despise this supposedly friendly boss archetype, they point to three things: pretending to be young, copying youth culture, and ultimately still pulling rank. Mix those together and you get the soft Kkondae. But it goes way beyond just being annoying. Survey data reveals that over half of people in their 20s immediately associate the term young 40 with an older coworker making inappropriate or creepy moves under the guise of casual friendship. The result is a heavy emotional tax levied on junior staff. They end up doing real emotional labor just to survive these forced casual conversations with the exact same person who controls their next promotion. A boss who hides their actual institutional authority behind a smile doesn't erase the office hierarchy. They just make the environment significantly harder to navigate. To understand how this disconnect happened, you have to look at the 40-somethings' self-mythology. People born around 1975 genuinely view themselves as a tragic guinea pig generation who survived absolute systemic chaos. They have the historical scars to back it up. They sat through the 1 year when the National College exam and the old university entrance exam both existed simultaneously. Then, the moment they graduated, the 1997 IMF financial crisis nuked the job market. Add to that the extended mandatory military service many were forced to complete following a tense naval clash with North Korea in 1999, and you have their complete survivor lore. But the 2030 generation has a brutal counter-narrative. They look at that exact same group and label them the lucky draw generation, who actually had it incredibly easy. The core of the youth's resentment is real estate. They watched the 40-somethings ride a massive housing boom, buy property when it was cheap, and then firmly close the economic door behind them. Even half the 40-somethings quietly admit they never passed those opportunities down fairly. When both generations come to work viewing themselves as the ultimate victim of the economy, empathy is effectively impossible. With the economic battle lines drawn, the fight spilled over into youth culture. The 40-somethings feel a strong sense of cultural entitlement, believing they hold a prominent VIP pass to youth trends because they grew up as the original 90s digital pioneers. They point to their nostalgic connection to early gadgets, like the Sony Walkman, as undeniable proof of their inherent coolness. The 2030s see it completely differently. For younger workers, modern youth culture is basically the one piece of territory they still own. So when a boss shows up in street fashion, it feels like a hostile invasion. This chart showing recent smartphone adoption rates captures the irony perfectly. The ultimate youth status symbol, the iPhone, actually saw its adoption among Gen Z dip slightly recently. Meanwhile, adoption among 40-somethings violently spikes upward by double digits. Buying the younger generation's gadgets doesn't earn their respect. It only fuels a vicious online meme war where younger men mock their older bosses for trying too hard. There is a tragic comedy to the sweet young 40 manager. Many of these guys still picture themselves as the rebellious kid from a 90s music video, completely blind to the fact that they are now the boss with actual institutional power. The young 40 meme captures a bitter snapshot of a society aging fast, while wealth gaps between generations continue to widen. Resolving this requires actual transparency. Making promotion and opportunity criteria public directly addresses the suspicion that the older generation is hoarding professional growth, the same way they hoarded property. Second, mandate training for older leaders. What feels like a casual, friendly gesture to a 40-something can feel incredibly invasive and uncomfortable to a subordinate who can't safely say no. Copying Gen Z streetwear will never close the generational wealth gap, but dropping the buddy act and honestly admitting who is actually in charge might just save the workplace.